So, hello, hello, hello,
Hello.
everybody.
Hello. Yeah, now here we come in, and it's Linda and me, and we are working and stuff. And now we got, it was a quick little red thing in there, but hopefully it works. Yep. So
Still,
hopefully it seems like we have a stable stream so far. We've had a couple of little issues, but it's
s-
seems to be reasonably okay. I shouldn't have said that because as soon as I say something, then it goes red for a second or
it's
two.
like,
But
haha, fooled you.
yeah, but it's okay. So hello, Holly Mac. It's so good to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us a bit today too. And it was so great to see you and on Nerd Podcast Radio. That was awesome. Hello, Moo. Move 5EGG.
Move,
Yep.
move 5EGG.
Welcome.
Oh,
Yep.
it's Moose. It's Moose
Moose.
GG.
Yes, Moose GG.
There we
Yep.
go.
Moose GG. Yep. So I will work on Altamira, and today it will be texture, so it will be stuff that looks good. So that will be my stuff today. So I'm like I'm about 80% done or 90 or something done with textures. So it's soon ready for the first base texture render. So that will be to try and see if I can get that all ready to render tonight. That's my goal for this. So I'm doing an 8K render of the whole 64 area K area, so we can kind of look around and see if there's any general problems with the textures.
hmm
And once that is
And
done, I'm going to see if they look in different places for to see any tweaks and stuff, and see what needs to
and
be
I'm
done.
going to be making a layout for my interior of
Uh-huh.
House Lagora.
Okay.
So, I found some assets on Megascans
Mm-hmm.
that are for like a Victorian style manor.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and use some of those and see
Yeah.
if I can make it
And
look
that
like
is
a.
the map from the adventure with House
hmm
Lagora. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep, yep, from Midgard Sagas. It's one of the
Okay.
adventures in Midgard Sagas.
Yep.
So I'm gonna be just plotting points and making walls again tonight,
Yep.
which
Cool.
in a way it's kind of a waste of, well, it's not really a waste of time. It's just
Mm-hmm.
duplicating what I already did once before,
Yeah.
but I didn't do the interior completely last time.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be marking doorways and things tonight.
Yep.
So,
So this is. Hang on a second. Yeah. This is as far as I've done it so far. So this is what I call the composite texture. So it's I will render every individual texture that this makes up on as separate files, but I'm also going to render one composite that I will use as a base to touch up the edit in Photoshop. So I let World Machine render something that is like 80-90% done, and plus a whole bunch each base texture and all the masks needed to do it. Then I'll import all the masks and all the base textures. That will be like 25 layers or something in Photoshop, and then I can sit and use the masks and the base textures and edit, fine tune things, because here it's a little, since it's computer generated, that means that it's a little bit uniform. You can see that all the greens and all that looks identical from one end to the other, and and that is something I can fix in Photoshop, meaning all the lakes are exactly the same blue color. That's something I can tweak in Photoshop. I can give one a little bit more greenish, one is a bit more gray, etc. So I can tweak them individually, and so on. And but the problem I'm going to fix at the moment is that I want to introduce an highland texture, because now we have the same texture in the lowlands as there is in the highlands, and I've created the texture for it. Now I'm just going to mix them in and see what the see if we can get it to yeah. Oh, that's a good question, Moose. Yeah, how I get started, it was a combination of, it was my interest in maps and role-playing games combined, so to speak. And then I started, like, I guess almost DMs. I started scribbling my own little maps with on pencil and paper and crayons and stuff like that back in 30 years ago or 40 years ago when I started gaming. And then I realized in the mid 90s that there were some started to come cool 3D tools. So I always had the envision that you can use computers to generate maps, because I've seen that earlier in the military. I've saw computer generated maps in the 80s, but they look primitive, but they was like, oh, I would love to have something better like that for my games. And then in the 90s the tools started to come, so I bought a really powerful PC and started buying the tools and basically started to learn them by myself. And then I've been tweaking it, getting more and more knowledge each year, so to speak. So it's been a hobby for 20 years and or 15 years first. I started 25 years ago with working with 3D tools and stuff. And for up until 10 years ago, it was just a hobby. And then I moved to California, and then now it's become my job to do it. So now I do it full time. So that means that I get a chance to 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 work more, and a lot of it is to simply figure out what to how to do things. My primary tool. This one has been my primary tool for some years, and this is a tool called World Machine. It's a tool that you use visual programming to create virtual landscapes. It's very advanced and has a steep learning curve, but if you want to produce 3D terrain, there's only a few tools on the market. And even if World Machine has its issues, it's still my favorite, so to speak. But Gaia is a new upcoming one that I think will be even better soon. We'll see. They are competing over my loyalty of which one has the best features, but both of them have hiccups and stuff. And World Machine can, so far, is the tool I need more than the tool I love, so to speak. But it has some really cool features. Gaia as well. So I will definitely use both. And then I use Photoshop for a lot of the texture editing. So I will export these textures into Photoshop and then work with them and touch them up in Photoshop. So that's the idea. So I use probably about 10 different tools or so to do my maps all in all. So it's World Machine, Gaia, Photoshop, Blender. Yeah, there's some other texture generators and a little bit of everything in between there too. But
And me, I couldn't draw a battle map to save my life.
oh, that's awesome, Moose. And to encourage you further, there is a shortage. There's a lot of artists in the RPG community, but there is a shortage of cartographer. If you want to do especially large area cartography, if you want to get in on something that is very time consuming and takes a lot of skill and hard work to do, there is a lot of work in this field. There's a lot of publishers and others who want this stuff done for them. So if you can start doing this, and you can also start working in video game industries and stuff, so this knowledge of stuff like this is really useful. And it's also ties into real world cartography, so you can there is a labor market there too. So it's definitely a field to look into. So I would look.
Especially
Mhm.
especially if you take it to the level you've done, where you actually use real world cartography
Yeah.
practices to make
Exactly. Yeah.
your thing. Yeah.
Most cartographers are come at this fantasy cartography from the illustration side of things. They are wonderful artists. They are great at drawing and illustration. I come from it from the cartography side, and I'm learning more and more how to draw and 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 how to use the artistic side, so develop that bit. So cartography is like one leg into the technical geographic aspect of it, and the other one is to start thinking about how can it be useful for the game, and the artistic side of it, meaning labels, text, and all this the trimmings that comes around, all the other details that comes with it. And it's also up to the style, because a lot of publishers, they want things that look like a parchment and stuff, but a lot of more and more publishers are also interested, and gamers particularly are also interested in an accurate visualization of what the world looks like. So it's kind of, there's so many different types of maps for different purposes. Okay, so now I have this. Now I need to integrate the highland texture, because now I have the same green regardless of elevation, because the highest peaks here are probably somewhere in the 6,000 feet or something. Roughly 6 to 8,000 feet high. So a lot of these highlands should not be green the same way that the lowlands are. So now it's time to introduce, and I made that texture. So now it's just a matter of baking them together, so to speak. So I have the highlands texture here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first find, here is the last combiner. So I'm going to take another combiner and I'm going to simply hook that on there. And then I'm going to take the highland texture in there, and then I'm just gonna drag that to average. And now I'm going to lower the resolution to 4K because 8K takes a long time to render. So I'm just gonna, and then I'm going to render this and just take a look. Oh yeah, Moose wonders is that what you're doing, Linda? What you're working on there?
I'm
Yep.
working on House Langora. The one I was working on the exterior of it. I'm trying to do the interior now.
Yep.
And it's actually been a request from Wolfgang quite a ways back. He said he wants to do interior battle
Mm-hmm.
maps.
Cool. Yeah.
What I would like to try and do is what they call an exploded battle map, where the bottom of the walls
You lift
technically
up
would
the
be
floors and
smaller.
put them
The walls would be smaller, and then the walls are almost like they're slanted out.
okay.
So I'm trying to do that, but it's really hard to do because you have to make everything at an angle,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's very complicated to get my brain to wrap around it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm just experimenting,
Mm-hmm.
playing with different ideas, and I
Yep.
found some assets in Unreal
Mm-hmm.
Engine that are for making a Victorian mansion. So I
Okay.
thought I'd give them a shot once I had the layouts of where the walls needed to
Yeah.
be in the map,
Mm-hmm.
which I did not do when I made the first model.
Yep.
So now I got to go back in and make the walls. And I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on trying to figure out how to lay out the major wall areas, which are the dark brown.
Yeah.
And I'm debating how I want to do it. So if it's easier just to do with single vertices and lines, or if it's better to do with I think it'll be a lot faster with just single lines. So I'll
Yeah.
probably end up deleting half of these. But
Okay.
yep, Wolfgang Bauer is the guy that requested this. It's an unofficial request. I just asked him, I said, is there anything you'd be interested in 3D? And he said, I'm mostly interested in working with 3D battle maps. And to some extent, he wants them done in an isometric form, which
Mm-hmm.
is tilted at like a 26 point something angle.
Yeah.
You've probably seen a lot of isometric dungeons and things like that. So if you make them right, you can do them in isometric really, really easy. But there's a lot of things you can't do really easy either in Blender, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a pain. But um, yeah, I'm just experimenting tonight to see which way is the best way to do things and
Mm-hmm.
figure it all out from there. So that's the tricky part, and that's the part I like about Blender is trying to figure out um, what we can do with it to make it look like the rooms and the houses and
Yeah.
things. And I see my focal distance is clipping. Stop
Yep.
that. Oh, I'm in perspective. Oh, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And,
So I just need to get a gauge where my wall panels and things are going to be and where my windows are, where the staircases are, that kind of thing
mm-hmm.
is what I'm trying to figure out
Yep.
tonight.
And,
So,
and for me, it's
um,
that tiny little preview is unfortunately everything that we'll see to begin with. So I'm basically cutting off. I'm setting the elevation cutoff from where I want the highland texture to start appearing, and I only want it in the highest regions here. So somewhere roughly around there. Now I can go in here again and I can probably go down to
this
2K.
is just basically getting me an idea where the rooms are located inside the mansion.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm going
oh,
to
this thing is going to drive
change,
me nuts. It
instead of
keeps
looking at the whole map
defaulting.
in really low resolution, I'm going to look at a small area of the map, but I just need to get an area that is representative for the mission here. So I need to have something here that has both the lowlands and the highlands. So I'm probably going to choose something here near,
Hmm.
because the focal point here um, is Altamira. So I'm no, that didn't work. So I need to rescale it first here, and then
Yeah, Moose, my love has always been drawing and artwork and
mm-hmm.
playing with Legos and architecture. And look, I can drive around in any town and look at the architecture and just sit there in awe of especially older architecture.
Yeah.
New stuff, nah, it's too square, too, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But if you look at like some of the older churches, like the country churches, I'm saying, not like Washington Cathedral in Washington, D.C. or anything like that. That's amazing too, but that's a Gothic style.
Yeah.
I'm more into the old country style or the Victorian style, where there's a lot of gingerbread work on houses and things like that is what my fascination is with. Um, but it's so many people can't see beauty in that kind of thing, and I just love it. I could sit and stare at architecture for
Oh yeah.
hours
Mm-hmm.
and just be absolutely fascinated. And I geek out every once in a while. My mom goes, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, well, that's a Victorian mansion.
mm-hmm.
That's just a house.
Yep.
No, it's a mansion. What are you
Cool.
talking about, Mom?
Yep.
So, she comes from a very, very small co town too. So,
Okay.
let's
You
see.
near Chicago. That's awesome, Moose. I'm in Southern California, and Linda, you're up in North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And no, we don't speak like the movie Fargo. So, um, although there are a few people I'm sure you could say that do that, but majority of the time, no.
mm-hmm.
But I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this.
Yep.
So it's a challenge.
And yeah, and I need to start figuring out how to blend the lower elevation areas with the lowland texture and the highland texture. So now I need to see where I want the cutout point or cutoff point between one and the other. So and then comes the setting the blend modes, and then comes to set the how much of an area that overlaps, and then set if there's some terrain needs more overlap than others, and stuff like that. And then I need to make sure that the highland texture, that the actual rocks and stuff from the mountains, that they shine through the highland texture. So there will be a three-step process. So the first one is to establish that, okay, roughly which parts should be covered by each. And then I need to also make sure that things are imported in, like the I might need to move back, so water and stuff is added as well, so I need to mask that into.
Yeah, and you're right, Moose. It is more of a Minnesota accent.
Yeah.
But I live in the city of Fargo, so that's why I take offense at a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're from Fargo. Do you talk like Durden?" No, we don't. So, yeah, it's just one of those movie tropes that
Yeah.
people
Mm-hmm.
seem to think is the coolest thing in the world. So,
Yeah.
anyway, my rant is over.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I've always been fascinated with architecture. I actually started to be architecture in college, and then money and interest waned when I had to do such a constrained style of drawing and things, and I just said, nope, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go be
Yeah.
a retail expert at Walmart
Yeah.
for a while. So, um,
And I'm going to look at here because it's this area of the map, this area here we're working on. So I need to pay a little bit of tribute. So the local the much lower scale map needs to match this one. So the detail map I'm working on now needs to match this one roughly, so to speak. So I need to pay some tribute to the colors here. So that's why I need to tweak it. But I think it will be good eventually, so to
and
speak.
Anna Moose has a question for you in
Okay.
chat.
Yep.
I'll let you just read it. It's easier.
Oh, awesome. Yes, yep. I will be virtual GaryCon. Yes, at this GaryCon we will make. I will have. There will be a fantasy mapping show. There will be legends and lore, and I will have my own seminar as well. But I was also thinking that a lot of people can't. if you can't be at GaryCon, the real one, we somehow I'll have the same content presented on a Friday night or some other thing, so to speak, or we run it somewhere. So if you can't be at GaryCon, because it might be difficult to stream it, so therefore I might want to have it separately and show the slides and have the same discussion, so to speak, afterwards.
I think our streams like this are actually a pretty good way to do it too,
Hmm.
because we're actually, sharing what we know about people too.
Yeah,
And I've
and
got screencast keys. I don't know if you guys can see them or not, but when I do my keystrokes and stuff, it actually pops up on the screen. Looks like I might have to change them to a different color so you guys can see it
yeah.
easier.
Well, yeah, Moose,
Um,
it's confirmed this that will be an in-person convention this year, and yep, like a normal one, so to speak. So there will be a virtual part as well, but I don't know how much of I don't think everything will be streamed, because there's not enough internet resources for that. But there will definitely be virtual parts of it as well. Oh, awesome! Yep.
skill
Yeah,
I
because if you're in Chicago, it's only an hour away. I will fly to Chicago and then go there. So that's awesome. I would love to see you there. That would be perfect. Yep.
I actually lived near Chicago for about 6 months,
Uh
give or
huh.
take.
Yeah.
I was in St. Charles.
There you go.
And then, yeah, some things happened with my boss there, and I ended up
Hmm.
leaving Chicago for Minnesota, where I was born and raised again. So, um,
Okay. Now see.
basically, I was accused of something that I didn't do, and I said, I'm done, I'm going home.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to lower the a little bit lower here. Maybe that is, and then take a peek here.
oh, St. Charles of Batavia, I think was the other one.
Okay. Yep.
What do you
And
remember?
a little bit
I
of.
really haven't done very much, like streaming like Anna's done. I'm just getting into it. And I'm not very good at Blender yet. I'm good at doing certain parts of it. Um, but no, I never really thought about doing those kind of things. So, St. Charles is south of me. So you must be up in, oh boy, I gotta remember my Geneva, somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's Lake
Lake
Geneva is where
Lake
the.
Geneva?
Yeah,
No,
that's where.
there's a Geneva or something like that
Okay,
in
I'm
near
sure
Chicago
there's.
too.
Well, yeah, Lake Geneva is an hour away from Chicago, so yeah.
This is like on the western Lake County near. Okay, you're a little closer. Okay.
Okay.
I'm thinking like there's another St. Charles, Batavia, and then there was a I want to say Geneva, but I'm not sure what
Uh
the
huh.
other suburb
Yeah.
was that we were near.
Okay.
It's been well, 10 years since I came home from Missouri, and Missouri was 4 years, and it was before that. So, yeah, about 20 years since I've been there.
Cool. Yep.
So, yeah, it was a time of my life I would just as soon forget
Mm-hmm.
because the people that I worked for were not the most pleasant people.
Uh oh.
So,
But now you're working with co-opress
yeah,
and me occasionally too, so it's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Have
the
fun.
people were nice. I'll say the
Mm-hmm.
people themselves were nice, but the way they ran their business was not
Yeah.
my estimation of what it should have been
Yeah.
like.
We experience that in the RPG community right now.
Hmm.
And that will be recent. I don't think we should dive deep into it
Oh,
tonight,
no,
but there
no,
will
no.
be a lot of reasons probably to go back to that in future live streams and maybe other shows too and stuff.
I'm
So yeah.
sorry. I lost track of what did you say? Go where?
Oh,
What did you say, Anna?
oh, I just say that probably no, we should probably not dive into Wizards of the Coast and OGL tonight,
Oh,
but no,
no,
we should
no.
do that. There will be a reason to go back to that in the future when we know more, so to speak. So yeah,
Yeah, right now it's too much hearsay. So,
exactly. That's what it is. So we don't know what's going to be yet. So yeah, yeah, it's too
I'm
early to know. We don't know yet. And what I want to say is that I don't think it will be settled. We probably don't know how this will fall out until first we need to know what Wizard of the Coast is actually proposing. This so far we only have a leak and some other stuff. I don't know, so to speak. And also then we need to probably needs to go to court so we know what the actual legal implications are. When we know those two things, then it's time to sit down. But I think a lot of people needs to start making contingency plans just in case because we don't know. Yeah. and that's the scary bit. So yeah. Okay, now we're starting to get here somewhere. So I'm really happy with how this is starting to look.
Hello, Jay. How are you doing?
Hello.
Nothing is
Thank
clear.
you for lurking. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. 100%. Too many moving parts to know what's going on for sure.
Yep.
So, and
And
I don't go by hearsay, I go by concrete information.
yep.
So,
Now I'm going to tone down the opacity just a touch here to see what the.
let's see. I'm going to move my screencast keys
Mm-hmm.
over to the spot where I'm not working at the moment so you can actually
Yep.
see what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got bright green and that doesn't show up very well on my screen. Um, no, red doesn't show. How about dark blue? Eh,
Okay. Yep.
let's
And
see.
I'm in my blending
Line
phase here. I think I
left.
roughly have the height, so now it's the getting the
Where'd they
blend
go?
mode right, and then it starts.
Oh, now they're way over. Sorry, I'm
No, no,
babbling to
please.
myself.
No, no, that's good.
I'm
Yep.
just trying to figure out where my screencast keys went. There they are.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. We're gonna set the origin right. No, let go of my stuff. Jeepers creepers. Computer's being difficult tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, just trying to get the screencast keys in a spot where you guys can see them, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard.
Yep.
Um, no, where was I? Right here, I think. Yep. Why? Do, 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 do. Uh, and Anna and I can usually babble, and sometimes we get so deep into work we don't even talk to each other for like
Yep.
30 minutes, and then we're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, wait, what did you say?
Yeah, right now I'm in that mode when I do textures. It's like looking at it, tweaking a bit, and then it's render for like 2 minutes, and then it's looking at it again. So
Mm-hmm.
so it will be a little bit. I might lower the resolution, but I want to see. This is kind of final resolution on a tiny area, so I can actually see what I'm working with. Because that's the key bit is you need to see it at the final resolution. So instead of working on the final resolution of the whole area, I'm looking at a small. But I can start and looking at an area here. So this is actually starting to look fairly good, and the blending, yeah, it's not that. Yeah, I think that works reasonably well. I maybe tone it down just a tad less and maybe tweak the. Yeah, tweak it just a little bit less here. There we go. And then
I have
a little
a
bit
habit
again.
of saying a lot when I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to stream
The problem
because
is that
I
we.
run out of stuff to talk about.
Well, yeah, and also when I'm so glad I don't have to do this myself, because then I would sit and say weird things in Swedish occasionally or something, because I don't know what to say. So it's good that you keep me focused here a little bit, and we can take turns in babbling about things. And when I'm
Mm-hmm.
waiting for just a thing like my progress bar to go, then I can concentrate on talking a little bit, and then I'm deep into adjusting something, and vice versa for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm just plotting walls is all I'm doing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of finished up Nargenstal at least to a point that I need to do more research, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
in the mood to do the research, so that's on hold.
Yep.
Um,
But at
I
least
did
it will. Oh,
post
sorry. Go
I
on.
did post a new video on my YouTube channel
Mm-hmm.
of that
Oh,
model.
I need
So,
to upload the previous map we did last week to YouTube before it disappears. So yeah.
yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also, well, today, at least today, there will be pretty pictures from my part. So we should look at some of this and what
hmm
they will look like. So it's starting to get here. So
Yep.
the composite
Um,
texture looks.
I wish there's a way I could take it and copy it to my
Mm-hmm.
YouTube channel without having to make a copy of it and then upload it and all that stuff on my
Oh,
own, you
that's
know?
the problem you have to. But you can put a link on your website to it on
hmm
my YouTube channel, so that you can make a playlist on your site.
Yeah, I might
Mm-hmm.
have to do that
Yep.
because it's
That way
just
you will
one of
fill
those
up
things.
automatically. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Because
have
otherwise it's a kind of
YouTube
a pain.
channels. Yep.
Mine is Steel Valkyrie Gaming if anybody's interested. So,
You can probably
um,
search for Meyer and maps. I think it's youtube.be and then forward
hello,
slash C something.
Justinius.
Hello, welcome. Good to see you again, or virtually see you again. So, yep. Okay, now we need to just get some more rocky parts in here, and then get the water and stuff to show again. So now, and that might be solved by
Um, you probably hadn't heard mine, Moose, because I don't advertise my channel a lot because I'm kind of in a hiatus getting started again session. So I really haven't done a whole lot in the last 10 months or so on there.
yeah.
So again, I burned myself out trying to do videos and fancy productions and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's not me. So this format actually works much, much better
hmm
because I get to chat with one of my best friends and sit here and yap with you guys. So,
I'm going to delete
um,
that one. Oh,
nope, don't
sorry.
delete
I'm
it.
going to. I'm going to delete this one. It's funny. I'll say I'm going to delete this, and you said
And I
don't
said, no,
delete
don't do it.
it.
No, don't do it.
Yeah. So I'm then going to take the
Um,
mask here, and then I'm going to insert it in here instead.
Thank you, Moose. Thank you for following if you did, because that's awesome. Um, I stream on another channel, Nick the Hick. He does a lot of farm sim videos and stuff, and I farm with his crew. And he has been getting me views too, so it's like, thank you. So, and he's fairly decent sized on YouTube. So,
hmm
all right, let's get these
There I have the. Now it's
apps.
just a matter of getting the rocks to shine through again. So I need to.
Oops, I don't need to do that one. Back up one and kick over.
So I need to put the
Ba, ba, ba,
rocks in
ba.
again here. But I should probably do that on top of this one. So, now I'm running out of space here, so I need to move this whole.
That is a funny kink on that door. Ugh. Now, once I get these walls done, to take them and what the descriptions are of each room and then make it
Mm-hmm.
into a coherent 3D thing is going to be a
Yeah.
challenge in 3/4. So, but that's the kind of thing I like. I like challenges like that, where
Yeah.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you have a description of a room and you have to make it look like a 3D version of it. So your imagination has to be on key with, like, say it's a Victorian or a Gothic room.
Yeah.
You have to research Gothic so you know what kind of furniture is in it, what kind of fireplaces, what kind of draperies, all that stuff has to be researched. Um, and that's the part I love doing is looking for reference photos and things like that. Um, and sculpting doors and things, all these little minute things that people don't like to do, or they
Yeah.
speed map through it, and then you're like, well, I didn't see a darn thing of what you did
Yeah.
because you speed whatevered, you know. Um, Makes it very, very hard to learn tutorials when people speed through them. Speed modeling. That's great to watch, but you can't learn squat from it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So
Shifty
now
X and
I've actually replaced the highlands with gravel and rock over, and now I need to mask that subtexture away here too. So first I need to take the I need uh, a slope selector. I know you should supposed to organize this better, but I can't keep organizing it. I need I usually clean them up afterwards
see,
and
that's
reorganize
the
things.
trick. You're in the process of figuring out how things work or how you
Mm-hmm.
need to do it.
Oh yeah.
Then you start prettifying once you have it
Oh
solved what you
yeah,
want.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I need to first I need to just figure it out, and I, because otherwise I break my train of thought, and then I'll lose my kind of intuition or whatever you call it, so to speak. My creativity gets lost. So
Yep, exactly what I was saying, Holly
yeah.
Mac. Time lapses are awesome if you want to, if you're playing a game like farming, say, where you have to plow an entire field. Time lapse that, I could care less because that's something that you're just driving up and down a field. When
Hmm.
you're doing something like this, you can't tell what keys the people are pressing, even with screencast when it's fast, because the screencast disappears within seconds.
Yeah.
So I never learned much from those. I might catch a little, but not enough to actually be useful. So, although I do watch them, I do watch them once in a while because I see new things and new styles of what things are doing. And
Yeah.
um, one thing I would like to get into is modeling armor and learning how to do that. That's one thing I would love to do.
Yeah.
I would like to get into the sculpting of characters and things, but I just don't have the patience right now to figure out all that. I'm not into hard surface modeling. Oh, why? Oh, get up there. Okay, I did extrude. Extrude, why? Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, now it's time to start looking at this and see what the
All
what
right,
this can
so
actually
let
looks
me
like here.
look.
I might want to take
Nope.
away some of
Mm,
the color of stuff when I move up the elevation too. So the rocks get more granite-like the higher up and less gravel and stuff. So it's more of the bare rock at higher elevation. So I'm going to tweak that and see. So this the first phase was to figure out where the roughly the cutoff point between lowland and highland texture. Now I'm into tweaking the highland texture in itself, and then the final bit will be to kind of tweak to make sure that the lakes and all the other bits are in place and tweak the final color of the thing.
And basically, the keys I'm pressing tonight are E for extrude and then Y or X to tell me which direction I want to go.
Okay, yeah.
That's basically all I'm doing.
And I'm using the
And then,
mouse for everything roughly in World Machine. I open these little things and you drag the little sliders and then you close it and stuff. So
yep.
it's visual. It's like a big flow chart of data flowing everywhere. And then so you have to figure out how to connect what data to take where, and then you put these little nodes down that actually they are like subroutines in programming. So and then you open the sliders and you put in numbers in the sliders. That's like doing the programming of each subroutine. So to figure out how the data flows through the project, that's key in World Machine. You need to understand how the data, where do you need to insert the data and how to manipulate it and what to how to separate certain data and stuff. So it's
Oh,
kind of
that's a
yeah, it's very data driven.
staircase. Okay.
And
Sorry,
this
I'm
yeah,
mumbling again.
yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what that was, and it's a staircase
Hmm.
and with the walls all the way around it.
Yeah. And look at this little lake that is created here. It's when I see results like this, I'm like, yes, this works. And now
I'll
you can
say,
yeah.
why don't you switch to your screen for a little bit? Because mine's
Okay.
not that exciting.
Well, yeah, hang on a second.
Mine is like you barely see my dot moving.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, so I'll move my across here. So yeah, so this is almost yeah almost final resolution. So we have the highlands up here, and what I love especially is that you get these rock falls here where you actually have there are rocks and stuff laying around here at the bottom, and you have these actually programming this slopes here so you can have the granite. This it might be a little bit too yellowish, so I'm going to take down the saturation a couple of notches. That is a bit too mustardy in color for my sake. So yeah, so thank you. Yeah, so you have these kind of things, and there's a little bit of marsh texture here, but these are too bright. But this is one of the limitations in World Machine because I want to use the water depth on the lakes. That means that a lot of these are too shallow to actually have a blue color, because I still want to have a little bit of that kind of bright beach. But the good thing is that I have all these, I have the masks for these, so when I render them out I have masks, so I can simply go in and tweak that in Photoshop afterwards really easy. So if they're just like 70-80% there, that's good enough, because I will have the individual textures and the masks in Photoshop. So that's actually fairly easy. And I want to go in and tweak them so lakes can be given individual colors, tweaks and stuff. So because now all the lakes are equally blue depending on their depth. If two lakes are the same depth, they are identical blue. And you can change it over areas, but I think it's better to manually change that than to change it automatically, because it's usually per lake, because lake water have a tendency of mixing and stuff. So that's why I want to have it per lake or per lake system. So I want to do that manually and have more of an artistic feel to it. But when you look at this, I this is starting, and this is just raw. This is not edited final texture. This is raw texture in World Machine, and it's not even full resolution. It's almost full resolution, but not really full, but almost. And I love these things here, and you have the tiny little creeks that will be tiny, and might blend away a few of them, but they are where all these potential little creeks can be, so to speak. And then you have the material here, and I love how these turned out. So yeah. So and this lakes here is, I think it's kind of, yeah, I'm very happy with how this is turning out, but we need to have this a little bit less mustardy, so I'm going to go in and tweak the color a little bit here.
And that's Altamira you're working on, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
actually the city of Altamira is going to be down here, this part here. This
Oh,
is
okay.
actually where the city is built,
Mm-hmm.
on this spot here. So right now because it's flat and there's a lake, so that's why it puts in marshland and little stuff. But this will be the spot where the city is actually built. So I guess they drain this and they build the city on top of here. So this one is about a mile across, a little over a mile across from one end to the other. So that
Nice.
lake down there is probably about a couple of 100 feet across. Each pixel here eventually is 5 feet, and right now I think I have a roughly, let's see, what is the resolution here? It's 16. Yeah, so there will be 4 times, the resolution will be 4 times higher than this. No, actually only twice as high as this. So eventually, so that will be, so the resolution is my almost trademarked it, porta potty scale. So yeah, I can't trademark it because porta potty is already trademarked, but I call it porta potty scale when it's 5 feet per pixel, because each
I
pixel is the
don't
size of a
think they
porta
have
potty.
anything called porta potty scaled yet. I think you
No.
got that one in the
Oh yeah,
bag.
but I don't think I'm allowed to, because porta potty and is yeah. But
Well, call it outhouse scale.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. I can, yeah. I
I still
I
like
actually
porta
don't
potty
call it,
better.
yeah. Yeah, so I actually made a little logo of the porta potty and scale afterwards, so I'm going to get around it that way. So yeah, we'll see. That's just a little fun thing,
Let's
so to speak. So
see. How do I want to do that?
okay,
That's a
now
secret door.
okay. Let's go in here and tweak the. I want to tweak the color of that gravelly bit here. So let's see if I can. I'm I'm not 100%. I'm in a way I am fairly happy with it, but no, I should probably tweak it more the higher it is. So up here that should be, should it be less? At first I was like, of course I need to desaturate it, but now I'm actually not that bothered with it. So I can of course change it afterwards too if I want to. So that's, I'm thinking, is this something I should solve here in World Machine, or is it something that I should solve in Photoshop afterwards? So yeah. And then I have to start thinking about snow, but I don't think any of these mountains are tall enough to actually have snow in the summer. So and then in Photoshop I can actually make winter texture out of this too, and make textures for the 4 seasons. So that's another one part of this project. But so far I'm probably going to keep this as it is. How long have we done here? So we're, yeah, about 1 hour in. Okay.
Holy cow, that goes fast.
Yep. So I'm okay. So now I'm thinking. So that part. Let's take a look at another part of the map, just to, because I've seen one area. So let's just go up here and take. The problem is I can't move that. I have to resize it all the time. So there's some really tall bits there. I'm going to, yeah, I'm going that one. I'm going to. That's a really odd area. That maybe it's too odd, but I thought it was kind of funny in a way to look at it. So I'm going to roughly take that area.
Hello, Von Molku.
Hello. Hello, Mike. Yeah, I'm working on the Altamira map. I'm working on textures today. So I'm looking at this area. So I'm going to look at this here and see what we got. And I think this is good enough. So to see what the if this results work. And I'm starting to get the character I want. So now I can actually see if I get a little bit of time here. I have about an hour, so I can experiment a bit with the trees and stuff, and start seeing what I can, if I can generate some tree masks. It is boring to only do mask, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mike. That's yeah. Well, Mulky, I think that, yeah, I think he will like it. So yeah, there will be a lot of little places for him to start detailing, though. I'm worried when he see all this that there will be so much stuff that he wants to think what to do with it and stuff. So, or there might be areas like, oh, I have no clue that that was there when, and to do what with it. So yeah.
Mhm.
But it's starting to look good for being my second area in Greyhawk that I'm mapping at this level, detail level. I really like it. So now when I have the setup, I'll go in and start making a couple of renders in southern. Yep, this is part of the map that will be part of the Kickstarter. So of the Altamira box set. Yep. So this is a texture bit. So I'm making the composite, putting together all the different textures. So I have the base to work from in Photoshop. So I will tonight is the goal is to get so ready that I can set my computer up to render this in full resolution, meaning 65,384 pixels, I think it is across, or something like that. So it's 65,000 something pixels, and here we have the area, and here we can see we have low valley here with some wetlands and stuff at the bottom. We have the river system here that's starting to look really cool. So we have the lake here, and we have the boulders and stuff and the rocks piling up here on the slope. We have the river going out there, even some streams here and some waterfalls that I will make white in the final version. There will be some foam and white foam on the water, and then you have the little mountain lake here, and we have a river that cuts in through the landscape here, another tiny little lake, and then it cuts in around, and then it actually flows up through this valley here, this canyon.
Justinis is asking, where is Altamira going to
Oh,
be located in Greyhawk?
hang on a second here. I'm going to show you guys. Yeah, Altamira is here. So it's in the Sus Forest, Wild Coast, and here's the city of Greyhawk. And so Altamira is actually here. So there it is. And so now I'm just zooming straight out here. So it's almost exactly in the middle of my map here. So yep. So there it is. And now I'm really happy with how this cuts through here, how the river cuts through there. And this is just, I'm going to edit these textures, so there will be a little bit of meandering and there will be some other stuff, because this is just raw world machine, not final textured and stuff. So it's raw world machine. And this waterfall here is kind of awesome. There's a waterfall here, and there's a lake system up here too that I just love. But I might want to have a little bit rawer. The I think the mountains, the raw rocks and stuff needs to be a little bit more sterile up here. So I need so I'm going to tweak in the actual rocks and stuff. So I'm going to work on
Hmm.
that bit up here. Exactly, not too far from the Pomarche. That's yep, exactly.
I might have to change my original House Lagora model because I think this little section right here that I'm circling might be like a greenhouse. I might have to
Hmm.
redo that. I have just two doors on the outside and a railing. I'm gonna have to do some research. It'd be just like me to do, extra doors and stuff and then go, oh, that's not a door, that's a
Yeah,
greenhouse. But that's all part of the figuring and figuring it out and all that fun stuff.
yeah. So now I'm
Why
actually
is
increased a little bit
this?
more on the slope here, but I think we need to start taking away at really really high elevation. So I'm going to add another one here. So there we go, and this is the mask. So I'm going to put in, and I'm going to average it out like that, and then I'm going to simply take a selector here, and I'm going to take altitude here. And now I'm going to select, we have from the top down to, so we get the highest peaks here. So first I'm setting it so I'm roughly doing like that. And that is usually not good enough because I need to, well, I can see if I can tweak. So I have a little bit less fall off like that, and then we increase the, there we go. A little bit less fall off and like that. We test that. I put that in, and that is add. There we go. Now we run it again and see what happens. Should be a bit more just solid rock at the top, but it might not be enough. We'll see. Hello, M5. I missed you there. Welcome.
Yes, yes, hello.
Yep. And we're done an hour here, so almost an hour. So this is good.
I'm just plotting points and I
Yep.
get lost in the
Hmm.
thoughts of my own in head and then I'm like, oh
Yep.
wait, I'm streaming. I can't do that.
And I'm sorry for the to watch these progress bars, but that's the downside of working with stuff like this. You have to render to look at the, especially when you do textures. I want to see the quality because I don't want to spend a 12-hour render and then realize that there was one little tiny detail I forgot, so I'd have to spend another 12 hours rendering again. So that's why I want to. It's like craftsman. You measure twice and cut once. So it's a little bit of that mentality here. I can't fix things afterwards in Photoshop, but I want to make sure that I try not to take more problems into Photoshop than needed, so to speak, because some things are easier to fix in World Machine, some things are easier to fix in Photoshop, and a lot of things you can fix both ways, but it's always better to use the best tool for the job.
Work, okay. Mhm. One of these days I'm going to wear out my E, Y, and X keys on my keyboard because that's about all I
Mm-hmm.
seem to do.
Yeah.
Is extrude, scale, all that stuff. Where'd my mouse go? I
Okay,
lost it.
this is a little bit. Now I think I know what to do. We need to have more of the sand and the stuff going downhill. So we're going to add that into the sand and the gravel here. So I'm going to combine, putting that one in there. Oops. So it's time to add in, and that should be. Now I need to figure out which. Yeah, I should probably do it here. And then we'll take some of the sand. Oops. Oops, that was not what I wanted. Sand, sand, sand. Sand, there we go. So we take the sand in there. Okay. Now I'm going to add screen here. So I'm going to test that screen, and now it's time to take a selector, and there are a lot of cool built-in kind of stuff. So when you take erosion, you get some wonderful types of. And now I need to. Oh, that was not what I wanted. I have so many wires that I can't find the right one. There we go. So there is some really cool built-in. When you take erosion, you get some masks out, and the one I'm looking for is flow, because that's the part of the mountain where rock falls down the where the yeah where things are loosened around
Where it
the
cascades down the side of the mountain,
yep.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you for
All right,
trying
so
to
let's
think
get rid of
about
X-ray mode.
talking and doing two other things at the same time here. So
All
there we
right,
go.
so when I get this done, um, I think I will be taking it into Unreal, but I don't know if I'll get that done tonight
Yeah.
because Unreal takes a while for my computer to load it. So,
Mm-hmm. So
um,
now I put some of that sandy, rocky, pebbly areas up here, and I use screen because then you get like a lightning effect. So it's more like rock dust and sand and stuff like that, boulders, pebbles, and gravel and stuff laying over. So normal or normal is to just replace one value of the pixel with the other one. Screening, then you replace darker with lighter and still keep the color. And in this sense, it might be good, but I might go with normal. We'll see. Yeah. And if you want vegetation to just make things greener, multiply is a perfect one for that, because then you get a lot more oomph in it. It gets really dark green and dark stuff. And then you have add and maximum and divide, and so you can get all sorts of weird effects when you can. It's like the layering. It's like layer blending in Photoshop, but done in World Machine.
hit the right key. There we
Yeah.
go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking good.
Okay, so I don't
It's time for
know
you to have yours on top because you're working on something, and I'm
how
just there.
that
We go. Yeah.
is. I have no idea how they've got this spiral staircase laid out, but there's a spiral staircase here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna do an extrude X,
Yeah.
extrude Y, and do a bunch of little extrusions. Whoops. How about we do an extrusion with no direction, just free extrusion.
Okay.
There
Here.
we go. That's what I wanted to
This
do.
was the kind of effect I was looking at. Now it's just to see, is this too much or not enough?
All right, and then we'll.
To be
Whoop,
honest, I'm
too far.
starting to feel like it is
And
kind
let's
of
hit the
where I wanted
perspective
it to
mode
go.
again.
Yeah, because there's a lot more
There,
dynamic,
center.
and now you can see that this mask is so cool because it if a rock sticks out of the flow, it's masked automatically. So the erosion takes care of that. Erosion figures things out. So you can actually use the flow. There is a deposition where stuff ends up, and then it's aware where things fall off, so to speak. And then the flow is where things transition from where they fall off to where they end up. And so I think this is, yeah,
It's
I'm
gonna
actually very
work.
happy with this.
That
I think
extrude
this looks,
Y
for being a raw
and
texture in World Machine, this looks pretty damn good.
no,
I'm kind
no,
of happy with this.
no. I wasn't saying no to you. I was
No,
going
no,
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 no.
yeah,
Wrong, wrong
I
key.
get that. So, yep. So hang on a second. My turn to be on top here because now I'm doing something fun here. There we go.
No, no,
Yep.
no, no. You're walking all over me. Stop it.
Yep. So this actually doesn't look too bad for being my idea of the Lort Mill Mountains. Old, rugged, kind of not very high mountains, but full of nooks and crannies of various kinds, and these kind of little hidden
That
canyons, small lakes, and stuff.
is
There is no trees, but there will be some trees and stuff in here too. So that's the last bit to start working on the placement of trees, because that will be the second. First, I need to render all the textures, and then I'll go import the textures back into World Machine, and then I start working on, or then I render the trees, and the trees are little knobs in the terrain that cast shadows and make protrusions, so they stick out of the terrain and they have the right color. So that is part Photoshop, part World Machine, but that's a second stage, so to speak. So I want to do it separately because just in case I want to import this into a tool like Unreal, a game engine or something that has virtual trees. I can actually take the terrain without any trees, and so I need to make a version with trees and a version without trees. And so I have it ready for future things, because in GIS and large and tools like that, it's awesome to have the little knobby trees because that's all I need for that. But if in case it goes into stuff like game engines, then it's perfect to just have a mask, and then we can place virtual trees in there rather than just little knobs in the terrain. So therefore, I need to have two of this. I might tweak some of these settings. Now I'm thinking I should probably increase. There
sure.
should be a bit more grass and stuff up some of the slopes here. So I'm going to mask away that and test it. So now I'm getting into the little finer bit. Oh, by the way, when I see little lakes like this up in the mountains, I'm getting like, wow, I love little lakes like this. And that one, it's too shallow to have real water in it, so to speak. But when I find little lakes like this, it will actually have an outlet is in this direction and not that direction. And if you look here, there's actually a smaller lake there, so to speak. And anyone who's been hiking up in the mountains know that there actually are a lot of little cool lakes like this. And there's another one here, tiny little ones that are, and then we have the big ones here. And to me, they actually really reminds me of lakes in the mountains. So yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to get a chance to see the mountains someday, but
hmm
right now it's not in the cards.
So now it's time to start. See here if I can actually and now I'll see if I can make use of another one, another area, and simply say that southern slopes should have more greenery than northern slopes because they get way more sunshine. So, and there are things for this. So I'm going to save this one now, and we save under a new version here. So we up the version number to 22. That way, if I screw this one up, I can just revert back to the old one. Okay, so now it is time to start thinking here. So I need to And now I need to start separating these things out here. So we need to, so those things there. Oops,
Okay, where else do I need a wall? Right there.
there we go.
Then I think I'm almost done.
Yeah, so that's the one, and that's the one that, so this is the one that, yeah, this is the one. Okay,
Yep.
so this is the one we need to tweak that one. So that is just height. So now we need to figure out a way to increase. I'm going to increase the height slightly on flatter areas first. And let's take the southern direction here. So selector, and we have select aspect. So I'm going to take the elevation, and first I need to mark that one up. There we go. And heading. My problem is that it seems like surface angle height field. That's an out. Okay, so hang on a second here. So now I need to find, because this one,
All right, I should do
this one
that.
seems to work the opposite, because it works on higher rather than lower, but it's, so I'm going to do it like this. And now it's time to, there's a mask, so I'm going to mask that out. So it only works on lower elevation. So I'm going to take that one, and I'm going to like this, and there we go. Now I'm cutting it out from,
And now what I'm doing is just straightening up my random marks I made. So I'm just
yeah,
going through and straightening it out so the walls are kind of squarish and that kind of thing.
yeah.
So I don't build on a slant like so many carpenters do. Um, when I was growing up, in our farmhouse, we had the new addition that a couple of professional carpenters made was off by 6 inches. So the roof was crooked and the leaked and all kinds of stuff. It was just crazy.
Yeah,
My mom was talking about that the other day. I was like, she goes, "Do you remember that?" I said, "No." I said, "I was 8. I don't remember hardly anything from that time period." But the funny thing is, I can remember almost exactly what my house looked like when I was a little kid. I can tell you
I
almost
can, yeah.
I mean, I can tell you down to where the sinks were located,
Mm-hmm.
where the cupboards
I
were, what the
remember
cupboards
that
looked
too.
like,
Yep.
and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff.
Yep. That's
And
things you remember
just for
from.
giggles, one night in Blender, I sat down and I thought, okay, my school, when I first grew up, which no longer exists, so I don't have a reference to go by. I said, I'm going to see if I can draw it in Blender,
Mm-hmm.
just the floor plan, to see if I can remember exactly how it was done.
Yep.
And I'll be damned if I didn't come out with something pretty close.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because it was an old part built onto a new part, and then
Yep.
pieces were added over the years and all this stuff. And it's been 34 years this year that I've been
Mm-hmm.
out of school. So
Yep.
trying to remember that but I did it. I mean,
Yep.
I could tell you how the window handles in the elementary school were made. It's
Yep.
just
Mm-hmm.
weird how your
I
memory
Yeah,
does that.
I'm good at photographic details and stuff like that. Yep.
Hmm.
A lot of
Yep.
other, I don't remember names. I'm terrible with names, but I'm very good with graphics, what things look like. Yep.
Hmm. Yeah. And everybody else is like, oh, I don't remember that. Well, I remember it's clear as day. I can draw
Yeah.
it, I can sketch it out for you.
Hmm. I guess that's
And
why
they're like,
I do maps and we do graphics and stuff because
mm-hmm.
we're kind of interested
Whoa,
in things like
wrong
that.
direction.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I hit
So
X
so
instead of
now
Y.
so
So
so you're putting in the walls now. Is that what you
yes,
okay. Yeah.
yes.
Hang on
Let's
a
see,
second. I'll let you
scale.
put you on
I
top
scroll.
here because now you're doing something more
I
interesting.
just have the
Yeah.
walls in place now.
Okay.
That's interior
Mm-hmm.
walls only that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So when I take this into Unreal, I can place the walls, the wall panels that have been designed.
Yeah.
I can place them in place and start forming
Oh,
the
in the
area.
model that you already have with the outside walls and
Right,
stuff.
right.
Okay,
Using
cool.
this as a
Yeah.
guide, and then
Mm-hmm.
when I'm done, I'll just delete this from
Yeah.
the actual model.
Ah, cool. So
So,
you can put them together, so to speak. So yeah.
yep, yep. So I'll get all the walls put in first, and then I'll read the descriptions they have for every room and the
Mm-hmm.
hallways and stuff,
Yeah.
and figure it all out.
Yeah.
Um, which has to be extrapolated from the adventure, which a lot of times doesn't give very good descriptions. So I'll get as many details as I can out of it,
Yeah.
and then um, like some of the areas it says it has a central fireplace. And then I have to figure out, okay, a central fireplace, that means it's probably open on two sides.
Mm-hmm.
So how would that look if you're building it in a building? Is it square? Is it
Yeah.
rounded? Is it dome shaped? Is it? And then you start looking backward and go, okay, it's Victorian. So Victorian probably wasn't round because that came in the early 1900s, give or take. So it's probably a big hulking square stone of some sort, or
Mm-hmm.
marble, or that kind of thing. So it's all little stuff you have to think about when you're designing this stuff.
Yeah.
How do I want it to look?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and it's a challenge sometimes because designers are not very detailed. Um, when they start talking about, architectural details and stuff, they'll
Well,
say
there's a
it's
lot of it just adventure, and a lot of them were just basic engineering. You just the room size, and that's about it, and a window
right.
maybe or
Or
something. And
it's
yeah.
like you when you get a map request from
Mm-hmm.
somebody, it's a hand scribble, and
Yeah.
you're like,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
okay,
But
I'm
it's
going to
also
make this
depending on
into a
playstyle.
design.
Some DMs they're not
Mhm.
interested in architecture or landscapes or any of that.
Yep,
They want
exactly.
stories and they want just the basic mechanics. So they want to know how big the room is or if there's any traps or stuff like that that directly would impact the story and the combat. And that's about it. And
Hmm.
and they if they need a tree or a lake or whatever, they just invent it and it's just there. Other DMs like me, they want to know what the world looks like, and I want to know if there's a tree to run to. So if the players say that, okay, what do I see? I can do a description. I can show them that's what it looks like, and they can
Hmm.
decide which tree they want to run to. So
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah,
You know,
but
and in
some.
your campaign, that's come in handy
Mm-hmm. Oh
because
yes, yep.
you're trying to kill us every time we turn around.
Yep.
So,
Mm-hmm. And then
um,
the what you've been in nasty areas in basically the entire campaign. We haven't been in a safe area for much. That's the problem.
mm-mm.
So we
No,
need
we're in
to.
like middle of war-torn
Yeah.
EU's,
Mm-hmm.
IU's, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
them.
You're
Um,
behind enemy lines basically. But now you.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yep. And my hothead druid, she's
Oh
going to get
yeah, she's
herself hurt
cool.
pretty soon.
Yep. She's the one asking for a manager. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm asking for a manager one
Yep.
minute into the thing.
Yep.
Where's your manager?
Yep.
Um, but I love playing her that way. I love playing a hothead.
She's awesome. Yep.
So
She's a
I
real
want
real
answers and I
character.
want them now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the archdruid's looking at me like with an eyebrow raised, like, what? It's like, yep. Oh,
That
let's
isn't
see.
much difference, but I'm going to let's see here. I need to it scrolls up a little bit more here. I can probably increase, but hang on a second. Okay, so let's do this one.
Oh, I snagged one that I wasn't supposed to snag. What did I do there? I have a, whoops. Blender always defaults to perspective mode, and it drives me crazy because
Yeah.
if I wanted perspective mode, I'd tell it to do perspective mode. And for some reason, it decides, oh no, you get to see perspective when I'm working in orthographic. So I need face mode. Get rid of this face. Okay. Now, why do I have multiple faces there?
I'm going to test that one and
Oh,
see what.
is that a face or is it an edge? That is, and I'm not sure. Let's see. Merge all the vertices and see what that does.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I should
Hmm.
probably do instead of render 4K, I should probably render in 2K, so I can do this
I
a
should
bit
be working
faster.
in
Yeah.
that so you guys can see
Hmm.
that. And I think I'm going to turn on, where is it? Matcap. Hello, Matcap. I want Matcap. There it is.
What's matcap?
Mat Matcap is where you can change the material. Like I can put it in a
Oh,
shiny
okay.
material,
Okay.
where it really shows
Hmm.
the differences.
So you
Or
can
I can do
quickly
like
see.
clay. Yep. Or I can do like clay or I like to work in either the brown or if I quit
Yeah.
hitting the wrong buttons, come on, Blender, don't do this. Um, or in a maroon
Yep. I
when
can.
I'm working in Blender.
Yep. And we have 4% dropped frames, so we're good. We've been green
Wow,
the entire stream. Yep.
nice. And you'll see the reason that these doors are a little bit different than the shape I made. I'm allowing for a door frame
Yep.
because they have it butted up real tight in the corner. And regardless how tight it is in the corner, there's still going to be some sort of a frame, just like
Yep.
in your house.
Yep.
There's going to be a frame that the door's built into.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm keying in that I have to put a door frame there.
Hmm.
So that's why my pattern doesn't exactly match up
Yep.
with it. Um, and what was I doing? Oh, I was fixing that. Okay, fixed that, and I got that. All right, that one is done pretty well. I don't want to, let's get rid of this selection so I can see what I'm looking at. I was straightening is what I was doing.
Okay. Now I need to realize that that one.
Um, top view. And I don't know how well you guys can see this or not. Um, I work in with the little tiny dots. I don't work with giant dots like some of the creators do,
Hmm.
like vertices. Some people jack them up till they're the size of a BB, and I can't work like that because it hides too much stuff. So hopefully it's not too hard to see.
Yeah. That the idea with aspect ratio and stuff. Or aspect. I'm going to skip that bit here. And now I'm going to. Do, do, do. Now I'm going to select. Going to delete that wire, and I'm going to do this. And I'm going to select the flow again.
Oh, did it again. Give me orthographic view. Thank you.
I
I
lost
don't
my.
know if I'm doing something wrong or hitting a wrong button or something, but it's always changing to perspective mode. Drives me crazy
Uh huh.
because it clips in perspective mode. Like at the scale I'm at, if I'm in perspective mode, it starts clipping and it just drives me crazy. Well, now it won't do it, of course, but it'll start clipping when it's in perspective mode. Yep, there it did it, where it just like deletes my picture that I'm working with. So then I have to switch back over. Um, but that's just a personal preference. I like to work in orthographic mode instead of
Yeah.
perspective mode. Just makes life a lot easier.
I'm going to switch this to 2K so I can work a bit faster, and then go in here and a little bit longer, but I think I can probably.
So, we're both in such deep thought. We're like,
Oh yeah,
oh,
this is getting. Anyone who looks at this can realize this is a little bit complicated to sort out which going in which direction. So it's a slightly complicated setup here. So
at least when you click it, it highlights it. So once you put yourself in front
yeah.
when you're working on playing on
Oh
that stuff,
okay.
so they can
Yeah,
kind of
but
see what you're
I'm
doing.
just gonna now I'm going to render. So now it will be
Oh,
I can put
okay.
myself in front here. So hang on a second. There we
Okay.
go.
I mean, I
Yep.
just thought since you were
Mhm.
playing with your spaghetti, you could,
Yeah.
you
Except
know,
it's playing with spaghetti. Yes, that's
yep.
I'm very much like a spaghetti chef here. So yep. Mhm.
I was playing a video game with my friends the other night, and we were talking Blender and stuff like that. And one of the guys goes, "Spaghetti."
Yep.
I'm like, "What?" We both just stopped and went, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Spaghetti. You know all the wires that connect the dots?"
Yep.
Oh, you mean in texturing? Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
But we just were both dumbfounded. We were like, "What are you talking about, spaghetti?" Like, it
Yep.
just didn't dawn on us.
This is actually very close to where I want to be. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. This is actually not
Zero
bad. So instead of looking, now I need to look at the texture in 2D and
scale
in higher
X.
resolution. So now I'm going to boost it up to 4K, and I'm going to make sure that one is there, and I'm going to look at it like this, and then I'm going to render it, because this gives the best view where you can actually see the resolution. It's not full resolution, it's half the resolution, but it's good enough that I get to see the end result. And if this is good, then I can start working half an hour on figuring out where trees should go, so I have a little bit of idea of
Okay.
the
That
masking trees.
tab all right. I think this one is done
Mm-hmm.
enough to take it into Unreal, but I don't really want to do that tonight because I have to set up a bunch of stuff in Unreal.
Yeah.
So what I will do is create a new project for the second floor. Oh, come on. New general. All right. And wait a second. Open recent. I gotta make sure I save that. Good. Clean. Yep, I did. Okay. File. Save it one more time. All right. Now, file, new general. Insert. Image. Reference. And where'd it go?
Time for you to be on top
Blender.
while I'm fixing things here. So yeah.
Blender. I'm just inserting pictures, so
Mm-hmm.
House Lagora,
And
details, second floor. All right, so Alt G, Alt R to flatten it. And House 7. And now I'm going to do the same thing again.
okay. Yeah.
Um, so exciting. I know, guys, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. This
Save
is a bit like watching paint
as.
dry. So this is yeah. But now we can actually look at the render here, and I'm more curious we don't get any weird color discoloration, because when you blend two together you can get all sorts of weird effects. Sometimes you get colors that are completely off, but this looks really good. It gets
Little Milk, hey, how you doing?
hello.
Sorry, that's my gaming buddy, Little
Yep.
Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Welcome. Yeah, so this looks good. We have the pebbles and the gravel, and then we have a little bit more like dried out grass and stuff, and sand and whatnot, rocks, and then it gets more and more grassy, and then some bushes and stuff and down here, and then you have some marshlands and stuff in here. So yeah, so this is not bad.
Oh, let's see. Da-da-da-da. Doing great, Mike. How are you? Sorry. All right. Let's see. So we're gonna do Shift A, bring in a plane, and we're gonna switch to edit mode. Delete. Oops. Okay, I did leave them.
Okay, so
Got a vertices there,
this doesn't
and
look bad at all, so I'm going
got
to
a
save
vertices
that,
there.
and now it is time to
So
start looking
merge
more
and
at
center.
where to place trees and stuff. So now I need to take a deep look, because that's the
G7.
base textures. So We have the
Um,
composite. Now I just need to make sure we have that. Yeah, it's right
GX.
there. So
Where'd
yeah,
it go?
good.
I lost my vertices. Where'd it go? Um, oh, it's underneath. That's why I can't find
This
it.
is my old
Let's see.
trees, and this is like a leftover. We can see it. It's terrible. This is such a mess. I was thinking I should probably delete the whole thing, but I might need parts of it. But I'm torn. Maybe I should delete the whole thing, or maybe I should not.
Okay, now let's see if we can do this one just a tiny bit
Tree
different.
deciduous masks and
G
uh, distortion. This is where I'm
pin
combining it, and
X Shift X
I guess I can open it
X.
in another one and recreate it if I need to, and I have the old ones, so I'm saving that, and I'm saving that under a new name here.
Oops, that's not what I wanted to do.
23.
Um,
Oops, we had a tiny little hiccup in the, but it was only a couple of seconds, so that was.
I think we got it pretty well pinned down that we don't have issues.
Yeah, now it seems to be found the settings. So yeah, I'm using 2 megabits per second and 1440 resolution, and it seems to work. So yeah.
Good, good. DX.
Okay, now I need to figure out delete this or redoing it. I think I'm going to. First, I need to figure out if
Oops, that's not
they
what I
are
want
the
to do.
same ones. So that's good. We have
X.
flow
All
and
right.
alt.
Now I
I'm
want to
I'm
drop
I'm
these
going to
down
delete these. It's much
to
better to start fresh. I can import it in if need be.
just above. How high am I above that?
First, I need to recreate them
Mm,
anyway, so I need to do them and put
GC.
them out there. There we go.
Okay. And
Now I'm
get hold
going
of
to
those
delete
again.
all these and see what happens. Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. I didn't get any. It's still there.
Come on, give me
Yep.
edit mode. Here, there, edit mode.
So
And
I'm
I
going
want
to.
to extrude all but those. I want to top mode extrude Y. Not quite what I wanted, but that'll work. All right, so I need to
I'm going to
faces.
steal the alt from.
Nope, face delete face
Now, for
only
the first time, it actually works. I can steal the
faces.
right. The,
Spaces and faces. That leaves me
there
with
we
my
go.
goodies here.
So now I'm starting to get
And
the stuff here. So what the heck is that? And where is it going? It's going down
extrude
here
Z up a little bit.
and down here.
All right. And I want to get rid of a couple more faces because I have too many here.
I don't need that
Delete
part. And I
faces.
don't need that part either. There we
And
go.
then I need to
Okay, that was quite a cleanup. And I can. Let's see, what the heck
rid
is this?
face there. That
Signal
didn't work
color.
quite
That
like how I
is.
wanted it.
I
Nope.
can need that. Yep.
Save as house group. Save.
And
Okay.
checkpoint. I don't even know what the heck that is. Oh, it's signal color input. But I can delete that because I don't need that part. And checkpoint, I can delete that one too. But I can save the signal color here so we can use that for.
Oops. Rotate X.
We
Extrude
can't put them in. So okay, so
Y.
let's
Shift D X.
draw them in and then delete
Y.
this one.
X. Back to the extrude X. Extrude Y. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yep. Now we need to bring in the texture here. So I'm going to.
Not sure what this is. It's a weird architectural thing of some sort. So I'm just going to
Yeah,
make a jagged mess there.
yep.
I have no idea what that picture's supposed to be. I'll probably learn that in the, oh, come on.
Yeah. And
I'll learn that in the
mhm. And one thing,
description.
yeah, and one thing.
Sorry, Anna.
No, no, no problem. I'm just gonna say if you work in World Machine and you start having messes like this, to group things is really good, so you know what each of these groups, because they are like major parts of your code, so to speak. And then when you move data from one of these groups to the other ones, I usually put one of these little whatever they're called, flow control. They are called a little checkpoint, and they can have many inputs or not, but I usually put them one by one so I can actually name them, so I know what the data coming in is. And this is also good because I can move it around and knowing what it is if I need to make copies of it, so I don't need to take the data from the whole way. I can actually pipe it from part bit to bit, so to speak. And it's like the plugs you have in the outlets you have in your house. You don't always go to the one, you put new little outlets in each room and they're all wired. But the problem is that here you have lots of different types of data. So here I'm making sure that I get the right data. So we have composite texture comes out there, and then you get these kind of things. So I put little guiding thing there, and now I put that one up here, and splat map doesn't work, so I can delete that. And then we have these thing, and now I need to oops, need to check water mask doesn't work either, so I can skip that one.
Let's do this and map,
So I
yeah.
need to figure out, do I have
That
an,
one.
oh, hang on a second, I shouldn't have deleted the water. Oh, anyway, we can go up here and see. uh, there is lake mask, that is river mask. So we have lake mask and river mask. So okay. So now I'm going to take the lake mask and take the data from that one, and then
Okay.
I'm going to take the, I call that tributary, but
X, Y, X, 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 Y, blah, 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 blah. X, Y,
tributary.
X,
There we go.
X.
And I
All
put
right.
that in there.
I'm going to ask a question of the audience.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
And do you guys like the way we're doing this, where we keep switching back and forth and we're
Exactly.
doing a dual
Exactly.
stream,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing?
Please tell us.
Um,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things, it's hard to know what people like. And I know we don't get a ton of viewers, but I love just having a small little intimate group.
But the
So,
good thing is, since we don't have that many viewers, it should be easier for us to cater to you guys that
right,
actually watch
right,
this. So,
right.
yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things, if it works well this way, if we keep switching frequently enough, if we don't talk over each other
Yeah.
enough, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing,
Yep.
let us know if there's anything you want
Mm-hmm. Or
done
and
differently
if something
because
we should cover specifically and work on, that's another
hmm
one that
hmm
we, yeah. But no OGL more tonight.
no, no.
We have there's enough OGL on the internet so far. So yeah. Or
Yeah, we don't
maybe
need to
not
talk
enough.
about
Well,
that.
but
Oops,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm way too far zoomed in.
Yeah, and I need to find where I'm going. Here we go. So I
But
bring.
yeah, just let us know if there's anything you want us to do differently or if
Yep.
we need to
Mm-hmm.
slow down or,
Yep.
explain things more, anything like that.
Yep.
So,
Or if you're just lurking
um,
to support us, that might be too. Yep.
yeah, I mean, that's cool too. I
Yep.
don't care if you
Definitely. Yeah.
work all night
That's
long,
good.
but
Yep. Mm-hmm.
it's just one of those things that, we just want to try and make it as easy for you guys to understand what we're doing instead of
Yep.
going,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell are they doing?
Yep.
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's good because we actually get work done and we get to hang out together virtually, and it's good both of that. So it's wonderful.
Hmm.
So it's good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's much more fun to be two people streaming than just me sitting by myself trying to entertain people that are not here, so to speak, that are only virtually here. So
I'd be
this,
going,
yeah,
uh,
yep. So this
or
is.
I'd be completely silent.
Mm-hmm. So now I need a view device overlay view here. So I put a view device over here, and then I pipe in the uh,
Oops,
input
why?
is alt.
What did they do
Uh,
there?
I should have the alt
Add image.
with rivers, alt with water. There we go as well. So I put that one there. And alt with water, there we go. And then I put that one up here too. Put that one in there. So now I put alt with water in the alt, and then I put the texture in there, and voila, we have the texture. Perfect. And here we have the, now I'm going to group these two together. And I call it, this is, yeah, signal color.
Talking to each of our machines. Yep.
Yes, yes.
I talk to my machine all
Yeah,
the time.
signal color 1. And
I'm
I
glad you
put
like
it in.
listening because
Yeah.
we like to chat, and if we get started on a subject, some nights we don't shut up.
Yeah,
So
but when we're working like this, we are kind of stuck in stuff too.
in
So, yep.
work mode.
Yep. So now I need to take this one and take the composite text in there, and then there we go. So I do add screen overlay maybe.
Yes, it does, Grendelwolf. It does free your brain, so you're not focusing and just going into mush mode.
Yeah. Well, the
So
problem is that we go into mush mode a little bit too often here, on and off, I
no,
get.
actually we don't. We
Okay,
we
good.
talk
Yeah.
a lot more about what we're doing than a lot of streamers do.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I try
So,
to and it's also good because that reminds me of things I should think about, and so on. So it reminds me
hmm
of trying to do things right, so to speak. And what I'm doing here, I'm working on an overlay signal color. So when I'm placing trees and stuff, it is then I use this signal color here to figure out masks and stuff, because here you can really see what you're affecting. So here I will try and figure out. Now it's time to start figuring out where trees should go. And this is a little bit tricky. So first I don't want any trees in water and stuff, so I'm going to make it combine. And so first I want to figure out what area should have a possibility of having trees, or where should trees never go, so to speak. So the idea here is to so first we pipe in elevation. So we pipe in elevation, and then we pipe in lake mask, like that. And that should be a subtract, because I want to get rid of, and the lake mask doesn't. Oh, okay, hang on a second. We don't do that. So we simply assume that this, and here comes the big decision. When it comes to trees, you can either work positively or negatively. Meaning, if you had an area with very few trees, you want to single out the areas where you don't want trees. But on this map, on the whole, I want more than 50% trees. So in that sense, it's easier to go the other way around and simply assume there should be trees everywhere. But now I'm torn. If I should probably use the same methodology everywhere. So I should be additive rather than subtractive. So yeah, that's probably a yeah. So now these things are really important, because when you store data, masks should be consistent from one area, from one piece of the map to another, so to speak. So if I work on this map and then I work on a neighboring area and there's an overlap, masks should be consistent. And I worked with additive before, so I've added trees rather than subtract them. So in that sense, I should yeah. So I should add them rather than subtract them. So okay. So let's
Grindelwolf is asking, would you
Yep.
need to think where
Mhm.
the trees are near the city and where the city has removed the trees? Yes, you would.
Yes,
Um,
the problem comes at this stage. No houses are on the map. So right now I'm just working with pristine natural terrain. So what I'm first need to figure out is where would trees grow if there will be no one there cutting them down. That's stage one. And then also stage two is to determine which ones are deciduous trees, which are evergreen trees, because they need to be look different and they are different in size. And I'm going to introduce four different types of tree vegetation. I'm going to have regular deciduous tree, normal leafy trees like we have in the real world. I want to have one set of smaller ones like bushes and stuff. And then I want to have evergreen trees, pines and spruces and stuff that are of different color and are more pointy rather than fluffy broccoli thingies. And then I want cauliflower shaped trees. And then I want to have a fourth category that are unique here, because here I have elven forest, the sylvan forest, and I want them to be taller. I want them to be really much bigger trees than normal. So there will be a set for that too. But first, I need to figure out what area can theoretically have trees, and then start kind of taking that down, so to speak. So yeah, and then
and
oh, sorry.
from my standpoint,
Hmm.
doing Unreal and
Yeah,
3D engines and stuff, you have to come into that too because when you're placing trees,
yeah,
kumquat trees, yep.
yep. Hmm.
Um, and it's one of those things when you're planning the landscape and painting the trees and stuff in, you have to figure out, okay, what looks like the right density
Hmm.
for this area. Like
Yeah.
in Arkansas, when I was doing it, I put a lighter amount of trees right along the shoreline because I thought maybe they would have done those trees to build the palisade wall. So it was a lighter density to the trees. That and I
Hmm.
was also running out of video memory, so I had to do the density there too. But
Yeah.
the main reason was because it would be um, a natural thing where people would have been cutting down the close trees, so they would have been taller, thinner trees right along the
Yeah.
shore. So that's why I was trying to say yes, you would have to pay attention
Hmm.
to that.
Yeah, and then comes in my example with this overlay maps. Then after I've rendered the map and the texture, I will go in and paint in where the buildings should be, where roads should go, and where fields and stuff are, and then go in and mask take away that from the tree mask, so to speak. So if I don't want things, meaning I don't want trees on roads, I don't want them on buildings and stuff, or like within, then that will be a manual both. First in Photoshop, I will do a simple mask that if I paint in a building, I will mask that away on the tree mask. But I will also do it manually sometimes and edit, because otherwise it tends to look computer generated. So sometimes I want a little natural touch here and there. So I usually go over the map manually and add some trees and replace some trees. And then when I have that final mask where the different trees will go, I will import them into second a second go on this file, and then add them, and then add the different trees, so they actually render the little knobs in the terrain, and add a new composite texture with the tree texture on top, so to speak.
Yes, Gretel, if you do.
Exactly.
You
Yes. Yep.
need a
Hmm.
few trees there for,
Yep.
but
Hmm.
it's going to be a lot thinner if it's
Exactly.
near a settlement of some sort because
They
of
usually
natural forestation,
exactly they usually go and chop them down.
Hmm.
But then you have another thing around rivers and lakes and so on. Then there's usually much denser. There's usually a lot of trees along rivers and creeks because there's more water there. So if you look around, and also because there's usually a lot of the terrain is difficult to go on. So people usually go and chop down the trees where they don't have to get their feet wet. So that's another reason, because you can't grow crops and stuff in the muddy bits. So a lot of trees grow just on the edge of marshland and stuff. That because that's usually very good. There's a lot of water for trees and a lot less people that chop them down. So
And it's
so
also a very, very nutrient-rich soil.
yep.
So, with all the rotten vegetation.
Yep. So here I have the first masking done. So here now, and I need to now we should render it using 2K only. We do quick render. So now I'm going to do a quick render here, and then we can see that we actually have the lakes masked off. I should mask off the little creeks too. I forgot that part. Hmm.
hmm
Yep,
Exactly what we're talking about.
yep,
And it's just things that, from my perspective, working in Unreal Engine, it's a lot more prevalent than it is in Anna's. I
yeah,
mean, she's doing the
I,
shadow
I,
masks and things like that to make them.
yeah,
But if I would do the 3D village version of her map, I would take and look where she's placed the trees and the densities and things like that,
hmm,
that I'd try to mimic that to a certain extent.
yep,
Limiting myself, of course, to video memory and RAM and all that stuff and how the thing's going to run. Because the more trees you have, the more grass blades you have, the worse the running in frames per second ends up to be.
yep.
It's all a cost.
And we
So,
have tributary. There we
unless, of
go.
course, you have a beast of a machine like Anna does, which not very many people do. So,
No, but in this job is really needed. So, yep.
yeah, yep, it is. And I agree. I should be upgrading mine, but right now, yeah, nah. I'll puddle along with what I've got.
Hmm.
Someday I'll get to the point of having to
Yeah,
do
well,
it.
yeah. I lingered on. Mine was over 5 years old, the old one. So I was the last year I was complaining every time I started it. Whatever I did, I
Yep, I
complained.
remember those nights.
Yep,
It's like, oh, it's gonna take me all night.
yep.
Yeah,
So here we
it
have the
will.
first masking. So I masked off the lakes and I masked off the rivers. And this is the beauty of having masking is key, both in World Machine and in Photoshop. Having properly high quality masks is key to this. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So you need to do most of the work needs to be done automatically, so to speak, to take care of it. So that's yeah. Yep. They are, yep, they I'm supplying aliens with high level data, so yep.
God, I hope that they don't judge it on that, because then I'll really be in the doghouse, because
Hmm.
I have about a fifth of what you used to have.
Yep.
So,
So the next step here is to simply figure out the areas that are too steep, meaning on these slope it's too steep, so no trees will grow there. So now we need to take them away here. So now I go in here and I simply add another and we're going to subtract, and then we going to find a selector, and I'm going to find a selector for select slopes. We do get that in there, and then I take the input and we use the alt. I use the raw alt, it's usually better, and then I pipe that out and pipe it in there. So now I'm going to set it to,
why don't you switch to the front, my dear?
okay, I'll switch to the
You can
front
stay
here.
there because you're doing much more interesting stuff than I am
Okay,
at the
yep.
moment. So,
Hmm. And up here is the little preview here. So here I can select and say that minimum 0 degree, I want trees to grow on flat land, and at least 10 degrees. And now I simply raise it up and say probably somewhere around 45, 40. Let's do 40 degrees and 10 degrees. That's 50 degrees. That's 50 degrees is steep. If you try to go up a 50-degree hill, it's steep. But trees can occasionally grow up to that part. So now I'm going to oh, hang on a second. That needs to be inverted, of course. So there we go. Because we're subtracting and not adding. So now I'm going to go in here again and render again, and I get a rough look here, and then we have a precise more precise here to see. And I want, when I do stuff like this, I want to work in full scale roughly, so at least close to full resolution, so I can actually see what the end result will be. Especially when I do textures, you have to, but this you can do both, so to speak. So first I do a detail like this, and then I check a few different types of terrain around the map and see if it works. So here we have actually, now it's starting to get somewhere. So we have now the areas that are really steep, there will be no trees, and no trees in the water. So now we can also see that areas like this, where there a lot of rock fall and a lot of things, erosion just come flowing down the hills, so to speak, that's where trees will not grow there either. So we need to remove the areas with a lot of flow, but I'm going to save here just for the heck of it. So now it's time for another selector. So I select height, which seem not intuitive, but it's actually, you take the height, but you take the height not from elevation, you have a height selector and you select flow, and then you click here, and we're going to invert the selection, and then we're going to find the flows here. So I'm going to find the flowy areas, and I'm going to leave not trees are fairly precise, so I want to have trees either grow or they don't grow. So hang on a second, and there's a little bit of fall off there, so I'm going to keep a bit of fall off here, and then I'm going to tweak and simply squeeze out the grayscale at the end. So I'm going to do this bit, and now it's time to do another combiner. Put it in there, move it over, and do subtract and full subtract, and then paste that in there. And now we're starting to get soon fairly close to where trees can theoretically grow, so to speak. Because this is actually not that tall, but I'm going to skip the top parts here. So I'm going to do an exposed filter, so, because I don't want any trees to grow on top of the hilltops. When I'm doing flying in Microsoft Flight Sim, I can see they don't have done it properly, because there's a lot of, if there's like a mountain ridge, even if it's the top of the Rockies or the Alps, there is usually a row of trees that grows on top of it, and it's ridiculous. Trees don't grow there normally because it's too windy and too cold and too exposed. So, but here we're starting to get areas where we can actually have we started to get there. So now the next bit is to get rid of all these areas, meaning up here, for instance, the top here, there would never be trees that grows, and up here in these regions, they are too harsh, too exposed, and so on. Even if there might be now in the summer, even down in fairly southern latitudes of the southern Lort mills, it's too harsh in the winter, and it's not enough soil, and you get washed away and stuff. So trees don't grow up there. So that's why we need to get rid of them. But apart from that, I think we're fairly good here that we have, but it's up here on exposed. So now I'm going to try a filter I normally never get to work, but I want to try it, and that's the exposed selector, which is kind of a tricky one in World Machine. It's theoretically awesome, but in practice it rarely works. But I want to see if I can get it work, because sometimes it actually do work. So I'm going to take a selector, and then I'm going to select not slope, I'm going to select convexity. That's the one, and it's kind of weird one. And then I'm going to take Alt again.
That's just a weird term, convexity.
Yeah, it's convexity, and instead of full range, I want to have exposed areas. And it has a lot of like setting here. It says strength, old method, total convexity across surface, down surface, tangent. I'm not really sure what to do. So what I usually do, I'm usually looking here. So I need to select that one, and you rarely get any result with this one. So I do total convexity, and if you don't get any result because everything looks black here, then there is another trick to do. So what you do is that you take a clamp device. Yet again, it's kind of seems very non-intuitive. So you take the output from the select convexity into the clamp, and then we go into clamp, and then we normalize the output, because we take everything and spread out what little values we have all the way up to maximum and minimum, and then we see here if we can find something, and we get a tiny little bit here. So there is a little bit. Now we're going to see if we can take that little signal and we can boost the signal even further. So now I'm going to do a bias gain and plug that in, and we go to that one, and then we see if we can. There we go. Now you can see a little bit of stuff here. So now I can actually lower the bias, so I get the dark to really be dark, and then this is, I think, where we find all the exposed areas. And now I need to take a new combiner, go in here and take the I'll put the selection there again, and I'll take this one, pipe it in there, and take subtract, and then put that one to maximum, and then we go in here, and now it's time to go in here and see if we succeeded. And I think to some degree we succeeded, but not really. You usually have to take an elevation and just cut off everything that is up to above a certain elevation. I usually have to do that. Sometimes I actually go in and create a layout, so or do it manually in Photoshop at the end. So I find these spruces and pine trees that end up, there's like a few. Sometimes I leave a few just for the heck of it, and sometimes I do. So yeah, we got rid of a lot of them, but not all of them. There's still some little residue here, so there's a little bit. But we got some interesting effects here because we will get some trees that are in between the rocks and stuff. So now I'm going to try one more filter in World Machine to see if we can get another one here to add to this. So I'm going to take another one, and that is roughness filter, or selector rather. So, no, sorry, not filters. I'm going to select roughness, and then going to, and I'm not really sure what roughness is looking for, like if there's a lot of change from one area to the next, it shows up in roughness. So hopefully it will work. And that one is usually a little bit better, but and just like the convexity, you rarely get much output. So I need to. That one is almost, yeah. So we need to do the same thing. We do a filter, a clamp again. So I put that in clamp and then select that one, normalize, and there you see now we have a roughness that is cool, but it still looks a little bit fuzzy. So I'm going to take a filter again and take this is like sharpening in Photoshop. It's like a level or sharpening in Photoshop. And here we can actually go in here and do it like this and add roughness here. So I'm going to add, because I don't want that many trees up here, so I'm going to be fairly judicious with it and generous and put in a lot of stuff there. So now it's time to do another combiner, and I keep adding them up here. Put in subtract and go in here and pipe that one in there, and then we go back here. And now it is see if we can get rid of those pesky at the top, and I think we did. They look like we cleaned up most of the mountaintops here. So yeah, the convexity is weird. I'm not really sure how that damn thing works, but it's kind of, it has a lot of little knobs, little dials and things, and I understand what it's supposed to do in principle, but how it actually works, I'm not really sure. But we get rid of a lot, but not all of it here. So now what I'll do is that now we need to make the big hammer here and just go and say that everything that is above a certain level with just no trees above. So I'm going to go in here and just take a selector and take the big hammer here and take a selector and bring that to elevation, because now I'm taking raw elevation and just say above a certain level it will be a cutoff. So I'm going to do here, and I'm going to, and it's the air. Now I need to think backwards because we work in subtraction here. So I need to select the areas I want to subtract, so all the top parts here. So we have at least that much, I think. So I'm going to add a little bit of something like that. And then it's time to combine again.
We're
And
coming up on 5 minutes too, Anna.
yep, I saw that. So this will be the last thing I will do. And then we go in here. And now I think I killed off. Now it's just to dial that in. I probably need to lower it just a little bit. Yeah, we get the occasional little yellow bit now and then, but we 4% dropped frames, which is not bad for 2 hour stream. So
Nope, not at all.
okay, so at least we killed off the worst areas up here. Probably need to lower it a little bit because I want to take most of these other ones here too. So, but worst
And thank
case,
you, Grendelwolf. We both enjoy what we do, obviously.
oh yeah,
So,
thank you, yeah, thank you so much. Yep. But this might be one of these things that I have to go in Photoshop and do manual editing because if I cut it down too much, then areas that I want to. So, but I can probably lower it a little bit. I want to roughly around here. So I want this. Maybe I'm not sure. I want it. I'm going to keep it for here for now and save this and call it for now, so for tonight, so to speak, because this is the next stage. But this is how I start to select things for so the areas that are pink here are where potentially trees can be, and then I take this and then I just make I just make fractal patterns in there that will, so not all of this will actually be covered in trees, but some of it will. And then I go in, so there will be, and I still have a little bit of slope issues here and there. There are some other stuff here that should probably not have trees, but it doesn't look too bad. This is a mask that is like 80% done. So a few more
and
tweaks and it's done.
you guys know the cool thing about this, all the masking that she can do, there's ways that I can take that into Unreal
Mm-hmm.
and make
Yep.
them into splat masks.
Yep.
And I can do like colorations. I can even put trees within
Mm-hmm.
those areas. I don't
Yep.
know how to do it,
Yeah.
but I've seen it done.
Yep.
So,
So that's the good
um,
thing. That's why it's so cool because we can work. I can generate data
mhm,
like this on a larger scale, and then it can be imported into Unreal and used for various cool stuff in there to make it easy.
mhm,
And
yep,
yeah, and the other cool thing that also means that we get things that are accurate between the local maps in and from the regional to global maps all the way down to village and areas like that. You can
mhm,
actually have things that match perfectly. So when you look at it from a distance and then zoom in and look at the city map and stuff, the distances and where trees are, buildings and stuff like that, and roads and stuff will actually match, which I think is really cool. We keep persistence from one to the other.
mhm,
So that is really cool, and so this is the quality of future Greyhawk maps, so to speak. It's and double the resolution of this. So I'm really pleased. This is super cool. So and we see where the trees will grow here, and yep, where I can place them, and it's not it's yeah, this is 80% there. So okay. And we
mhm.
come, yeah, we've just passed 2 hours. So thank you, and we still have 14 people. So awesome! Thank you so much for uh, hanging with us tonight and staying with us for when we've been working here in stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, any shout outs and stuff you want to do, Linda?
Shout outs, just keep an eye on my channel, Steel Valkyrie Gaming over on YouTube.
Hmm.
I will be putting videos up sooner or later. It's just a lot of stuff going on right now in my real life job and here, and the
Yep.
OGL stuff is all going to
Hmm.
be
Yep.
affecting it
Yep.
somehow, some way.
Hmm.
I'm not sure yet.
Yep.
So it's just keep your eye out. I'm
Yep.
not promising anything as far as how fast I'm going to get videos out, but I will be putting them out.
Yep. Cool.
So,
Yep. Yeah, so and there will be a Gabin on Sunday, and before the Gabin, there will be a game on Sunday. So we will have our Shieldlands campaign again on Sunday at 10:30 on this channel. So yep.
and Anna's going to try and kill us again.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
She
Yep.
does
Oh
good at
yeah.
that.
It's a big fight. We're in the middle of it, so to speak. So yeah. So we will have. So my tomorrow will be game prep for me, and then we will be. Oh, thank you, Discipline. Thank you so much. Welcome. We're just about to wrap up for tonight, but thank you so much for coming. So I hope you join us for the game on Sunday at 10:30, and then on Lord Gasumba channel at 4 p.m. Pacific. That is 7 p.m. I think Eastern. That will be a Gabin that hopefully Eric Mona. Now I say hopefully because we know how much turmoil there is in the RPG world. So I hope he can still join us for the discussion of. We go through all the dungeon adventures when it comes to Greyhawk adventures, and we have reached the. Worm. What's it called? Age of Worms. Yeah.
Age
So
of Worms. Okay.
yeah, Age
Yep.
of Worms. So and since that was Eric's baby when he was the one head of the he was the editor in chief for Dungeon
Hmm.
and Dragon magazines back then. So he's the one that did a lot of Age of Worms. So hopefully he can join Jay and me on Lord Gasumba channel Sunday afternoon. So yeah, yeah, it's
And
awesome. Yep.
good night, Justinius.
Yep. Awesome to see you again. Hopefully you can show up. We can see a lot of you on at GaryCon in March, but before then it will be some stuff. So next week I'm not really sure what I have planned for releases and stuff. So we'll see. There will be a lot of Altamira work, but there will also be a lot of work on my campaign stuff and so on.
Hmm.
Yep. So oh, awesome, Justinis. That is fantastic. We'll see each other again. That is great. So yeah.
Hmm.
So thank you again for everyone for watching and stuff. And now it's time for me to yeah to we have to turn things off here. Now I'm babbling because I was thinking what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not really sure. We'll see. Yeah,
Wait a minute.
yeah,
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 that's me. Yep. You guys have a wonderful night too.
yep.
Take care. We'll hopefully be back next week
Mm-hmm.
again.
Yep.
I don't have any plans to be missing, so hopefully everything works out well.
Yeah, and now we've had technical issue, no technical issues, so this is
Hmm.
good. So great.
Yep. We seem to have solved the 1 hour later
Yeah.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. Okay.
hmm
So good night, everyone.
all right. Have a good night, guys.